Welcome to the Nerd Journey Podcast. Our goal is to help you, the technology professional, accelerate your career progression, increase your job satisfaction, and be more effective in your existing role.
We want to bring listeners like you the career advice we wish we'd been given earlier in our careers.
I'm John White, at VJourneyman on Twitter, sharing co-host duties with Nick Cordy at NetworkNerd_.
We're two former IT operations guys who have moved on to pre-sales roles with technology vendors. We have our opinions, but we also like to highlight the journeys of others and see what we can learn from them.
We'd also like to ask for your feedback to make this a conversation, not a one-way broadcast. Email us at nerdjourneypodcast@gmail.com or DM us at nerdjourney on Twitter. So come join us on our nerd journey.
Let's take a trip. Episode 311. Suppose you were offered a free pass to a technology conference. It's only the pass to the conference. It doesn't include the cost of the hotel, the airfare to get there, or any other expenses you might incur. Would you still go to the conference, even if you had never been to one? While working through a coding boot camp to get herself into the tech industry, Julia Furst Morgado made the decision to attend KubeCon. And when she came back, she had a new perspective and a new job offer. It sounds easy, right? Well, there's a lot more to this story that we want to share with you this week. Today, Julia is a global technologist at Veeam, but it didn't start off that way. She originally pursued a career in law, but she went into marketing for a managed service provider after studying business. Julia had originally thought working in tech meant you were a software engineer, but she later found that there are many possibilities in technology. In this discussion with Julia, you're going to hear about her participation in the 100 Devs Bootcamp, how she built an amazing professional network, and how she did it all while learning in public. Let's get you to part one of our discussion with Julia Furst Morgado.
Julia Furst Morgado, welcome to the Nerd Journey Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Can you tell us about your current job and maybe just a brief overview of what it is that you do there?
Yeah, of course. So I currently work at Veeam. I'm a global technologist. Basically, what I do, I'm like an evangelist for my company. And I am very involved in communities, so I gather feedback from the communities and I bring back into the company. I talk to the PMs, what functionalities we need for the next releases. And when we have the new releases, I give talks about them. I do webinars, blog posts, different things. I wear a lot of hats in the company. Also, I organize a lot of events, although they are not part of my job, but everything is the same. It's complicated. I mean, I organize these events and they are work as well. I mean, yeah. So this is what I do.
Terrific. So it feels like a role that people might describe as technical marketing.
Yeah, more like a developer advocate, developer relations. And these people, they don't like to be called technical marketing because I'm in the office of the CTO. So, but depending on the organization, they are inside marketing or even I've seen inside sales as well. So it depends a lot on the organization.
Got it. And you mentioned part of your job being like kind of doing one-to-many types of events and then taking any feedback that you get back to product management?
Yes, correct. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
Terrific. Could you tell us a little bit about, if we roll the clock back, how you kind of got interested in technology in the first place?
So this is a story a lot of people know about my background. I'm very vocal about it, that I transitioned into tech 2 years ago. So, and I know I achieved so much in a very short time. Actually, from Brazil, I was born in São Paulo and I went to law school there. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated high school, and my sister was studying law. That's why I did it. It's not because I wanted to save the planet or anything. And after that, I moved to the US and I got a student visa. I studied business here at Berkeley, and I ended up working with marketing. And my last job in marketing, I was a marketing manager at an MSP, a managed service provider. Before working at the MSP, I never thought possible, transitioning into tech. It wasn't even something I would think about, consider. But working with the engineers, they were all so nice. They taught me a lot. I was the only marketing person there. So I had to do many things. And that's why it sparked that want to be more technical. And during the pandemic, I got laid off and I did a coding bootcamp. And that's how I transitioned into tech.
Well, there's so much to pick apart, but I actually want to go back to the law thing for a second. You said you went into law because your sister was into law. Can you share with us what you didn't like about it, and then what prompted the interest to study business?
So law is a different world than you're used to. We are wearing T-shirts here, and at conferences that I go, people wearing T-shirts, jeans, etc. Attorneys, they don't do that. Always suits. You've seen on Netflix that TV show. It's exactly like that. And I feel like it's a very toxic environment, depending where you work at. I worked at an office that was very toxic, and I just decided that's not what I want. And to begin with, I wasn't even sure that I liked law, So I said, no, that's not what I want. I'm going to move to the US to see what's out there, what are the opportunities. And I decided to study business because business, you can do a lot of things. You can work in finance, you can work in, marketing like I did. You can do a lot of things. So you can branch out from business. Basically, I did it because of the student visa. That's why. So I stayed here. I was studying and working and doing projects, etc. That's why I studied business here.
Is there any specific reason or thing that drew you into marketing?
I'm a very creative person. And I even recently, it's not a diagnosis, but someone that I know, a therapist that I know, told me that I might have giftedness. Have you ever heard of this? Giftedness? So they are very smart, high IQ, but it's not just about being very smart. There are other things. It's a condition that people are born with. Yes. I didn't know about it either. Yeah.
Autistic spectrum? Is that what you're talking about?
It's not autistic, but it's just a condition that people are born with. Yeah, I see. I think he's Googling. So I am a very creative person. I'm always thinking about different alternatives to different projects. And my classes, while I was studying business in marketing, really challenged me to find different alternatives for a promotion or something, like for homework. And I really liked them. That's why I got a job in marketing right after I graduated. And I just go with the flow. Where things take me, I go. That's what I do.
That's awesome. In your positions in marketing, you then started crossing over and working with engineers, specifically software engineers and technologists.
A lot of also IT support, also DevOps, some software. So the MSP did everything.
Sure.
But I would say, mostly I rebuilt their website and create white papers. I was the one writing blogs, which helped me to what I do nowadays. That's why I'm good at it. But, doing all of these things and also SEO, analytics. But I had to be in contact with engineers to make sure what I was writing was correct. So, and I asked questions because I'm so curious. I would always go to them and ask more questions and research on Google and go down the rabbit hole on something. And I lost a lot of time, which wasn't even part of my job. My job was, write that blog post. Don't learn about that technology, just write the blog post. But I did indeed waste a lot of time.
I mean, I suppose it's arguable whether the time was wasted or not, right? If
Yeah,
it
I
provided
agree.
you
I
like
agree.
a background.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's when one's reading materials, it starts to become obvious when the writer doesn't actually know anything about the thing.
Exactly.
So maybe it's about having like a more authentic voice. Yeah.
Go in a deeper level. Otherwise, sometimes it's very superficial. Like with ChatGPT, you can tell when it's written by someone that doesn't know the details. They don't use the right terminology. So you're correct.
Yes. So then let me back up. Like you had this job where a lot of what you were doing was writing and putting content out there. That's fascinating because I think that I do a lot of like internal writing that never sees the light of day. It's just for me. We've always advocated for people to blog about the things that they're learning about, kind of the journey of learning the thing. And it sounds like you were able to like do that as a job.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. As soon as I started doing the coding bootcamp, I learned a term. It's to learn in public. There is a really good blog post. If someone writes learn in public on Google, it's going to come the first blog post and talks about that. Whatever you're learning in your journey, it can be technical, but it can be, if you're in another industry, share it with others because it builds credibility. And when you're teaching others, you learn it even better. So I applied this concept and I would share it on social media. I created a blog. I also created not one, not two, not three, but 4 YouTube channels because I speak 4 languages and I wanted to do one YouTube in each language. I did that for a while, but now I haven't been, posting regularly, which is what we talked about the podcast. You need to be consistent. I started creating a lot of content since the beginning without being afraid of showing, my weaknesses. I think this is important. People say, I don't know what to write about, or I don't want to show that I don't know about that topic. But it's totally fine. At the level that you are, you're gonna help someone that is under you always. Someone will always be under you, will be inspired by you. Everyone should write or, do a live stream or YouTube. It doesn't necessarily have to be written content. There are other alternatives.
I really like this idea, and it's something that we've advocated for in the past. In fact, we have a book that we always recommend called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. And this like learning in public is a big, thing that he recommends there. He talks about how a lot of times people want to learn from somebody who has not mastered the topic, right? They're documenting the journey from beginner to an advanced beginner to somebody who's competent to, maybe closer to an expert. And that journey gives one an authentic voice. And I think it really does help in having an audience, right? Even if the audience is originally just for you, to remind yourself, to go back and go, oh yeah, that's right, I did learn this here or there.
Yes.
Naturally other people are going to be, interested in it. And maybe, you find a community of people who are all learning and have tips and, feedback about the things that you're learning. That's a great example of what we've been talking about.
Yes.
Did you actually like to write at the time where you were tasked to write blogs for the marketing company or in your marketing role for the MSP?
Should I be honest?
Of course.
Depends who's going to watch this. But no, I'm going to be honest. I didn't. Because it was very marketing, salesy, trying to push something to customers or prospects. I don't find it authentic. So I didn't, but I had to. Nowadays, I write a different type of content, more authentic. What I think about the tool, how the challenges I'm facing, not that saying that this product is perfect and is going to solve your life and, is going to save you money and it's going to scale fast. No, it's not a silver bullet. So now I write, the real deal, the real thing.
It sounds like you like to write as long as the material is the type of material you want it to be, with an authentic voice from a certain point of view, and to learn something that you're actually interested in.
Exactly. As long as I can write what I want and without having people telling me what to write. And yes, things that I'm passionate about.
That makes absolute sense. That's a journey, again, another journey that people find though, right? And sometimes when the task is write and write some more and write some more and write some more, you eventually find what it is that keeps you going, right? It's like, I can do this, but I'm not going to be passionate about it unless I write in this way or from this point of view or with my authentic voice and find out what that authentic voice is.
Yes.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people don't know until they're in that process of writing.
You can only find out by doing it. People, they get stuck at the planning phase and they never execute. And I've been there. Even with the podcast, I want to start a podcast. I'm in the planning phase and I'm waiting to execute. But we will only find our voice. We will only find the topics that we want to create content or to write about if we start. If we do 1, 2, 3 times and then we're going to see, oh no, that's not what I like. That's why I tell people, start even if it's not perfect. Don't be afraid of judgment, etc. Start, just do it. I hate doing the Nike slogan, but it's exactly that. Just do it.
When you started writing and blogging, was there a pressure of I have to keep doing it because I've done this in public and people are reading it? Does that in and of itself, the writing and then sharing, does it create a pressure and an anxiety of needing to continue to do it because people are looking at it? Or is there a way to block that out? Was that never a thing for you? I'm just really curious.
I think there is a pressure, especially when you start sharing it on social media and people appreciate it. They reshare it and they send you messages, private messages. Thank you for writing that. And you're very inspiring and you really helped me solve that bug. And then you feel like you should do more, but also in the sense that content, you need to do it consistently. So I'm always thinking, today I didn't post. I need to post tomorrow because I can't skip too many days. People are going to be waiting for me. Otherwise, they're going to forget me. And I hate saying that, but it's true. Social media, it's that attention spam. There is so much going on. If you miss 1 week, people will start following others, etc. So there is a pressure. Yes. But you have to keep it, healthy. You can't start overthinking and I need to post every day, a blog post every day. Start once a month and that's enough at the beginning. Otherwise, it's really easy to burn out, which we can talk about as well. Very common in tech, people burning out and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
No. Since we're talking about the writing and sharing on social media, how have you been able to translate your skills in digital marketing to help you get those posts out there? How differently did you approach it, you think, than if you had never been a digital marketer?
I know how to target my audience when I'm writing. So I write with the intent of I want to solve a problem to that audience. I always include a CTA in the end, so a call to action. Do I want them to comment? Do I want them to like? Do I want them to attend an event? Also, the structure of the post, it's in a way that people will want to read it. Otherwise, if you just write in a block, like one paragraph, it's not easy to the eye. So people will just scroll it and not even read it. Also, you should start your posts with a hook always. Like, Instagram Reels, videos, you always start with a hook. Same with the post, because on LinkedIn, Twitter, I think mostly on LinkedIn, you only see the first 2 sentences of the post and then read more. So your first 2 sentences need to be powerful enough for people to want to click on the read more, read your post, and then do what you're asking, comment or go check out your newsletter. So, you need to think about all these things.
You watch, John. Once she starts that podcast, it's going to take off because of all this marketing. She's going to have way more listeners than us in like a week. It's amazing.
That's right. One of us needs to quit and do a course on digital marketing.
There is a lot, yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that transition from basically your job being marketing to doing a boot camp? What inspired you to make the jump over, to pick up those development skills?
While I was working at the MSP, I was already looking at boot camps here in New York City. And, they cost $10,000 or even more. And I was willing to pay that because I wanted to learn technical skills and, software development, because the boot camps are almost about that. But I got laid off, and I think on the same day I was on Reddit and I saw a post from Leon. He was saying that he was going to start a boot camp. Those were live streams he did twice a week, teaching people about web development. So JavaScript and Node.js, React. And he started January 2022. I think he went until October 2022. I did it twice a week, 3 hours every class, every live stream. He had office hours. We had homework. And the thing is, the boot camp wasn't just a coding boot camp. He said his goal was to get us a job in tech, our first job in tech. So part of the homework, we had to do coffee chats with people already in the industry, like reach out to them and say, hey, I'm doing a coding boot camp. Can we do a 15-minute coffee chat just to, pick your brain or maybe learn what you do on a day-to-day basis? And I did more than 100. I have a spreadsheet with these, and I have their name, I have where they work, their contact, and the notes from the call. Because if one day I need someone that works at that company, I will look, we have this in common. That person said they have 2 kids and they live, I don't know where. I have all of that already, and I built my network very easily. Because when you're starting out, and you show people that you're putting in the effort, they will help you. They won't help you if you just say, I want a job. Can you give me a referral? Can you give me something? No. If they show you that they're putting in the work, yes, I'll give you 15 minutes of my day to tell you about how I got here where I am and give you some advice. And that's what I did more than 100 times.
Do you mind if I ask how many of those coffee chats ended at the 15-minute mark, or did the person want to talk to you longer?
Most of them, we ended up talking longer, and I ended up building mentors from there. So 3 of them were recurring coffee chats, and I always say that most of the coffee chats were men. So when I'm talking about, diversity and inclusion in tech, I say we have to help more women. The problem is we are very busy trying to keep our jobs, but at least I had a lot of supporters. Hey, you're doing the bootcamp. Great. Yeah, let's jump on a call. Just grab a block on my calendar and whenever you want it. It was great. It was amazing. And I hadn't seen that in marketing or in law. This, I think, is more particular to tech because also of open source. People want to collaborate and help each other to achieve the same goal. They don't mind telling you what they did, their path to success, because you're going to do the same and you're going to steal that from him. No, it's one more that is going to help the cause or collaborate together. So that's one of the things I love about tech.
Did anyone give you guidance as to what the options are under the tech umbrella as you were considering that? Like, did you get guidance before you even went to the boot camp on here are some directions you could go?
So no, I'm shaking my head here. No, I went to the coding bootcamp thinking that mostly tech was software engineering. Even though I was working at the MSP with DevOps, IT support, I thought when we say I work in tech, I'm a software engineer. And no, there is so much more than that. It's just one small part. And throughout the bootcamp, doing these coffee chats, I spoke not only to software engineers, I spoke to program managers, I spoke to DevOps engineers, platform engineers, to data analysts. I spoke to all of them from different companies, from Netflix, from GitLab, from a startup, and trying to see what I liked. But it's still very hard because you're hearing from someone else their experience. Until you do that, you try that tool, you're not gonna know if you really like it or not. So, and then after that, I started trying. So I built some websites. I saw that I didn't like front end. I started working with APIs, didn't like back end either, or full stack. And then went a little bit more to cloud. I liked using AWS and went to Kubernetes. So that's a little bit how I went. But also, my networking took me there. I can also talk a little bit more about that if you want.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear that story.
I was on social media a lot, posting, and I met a lot of people there. And one of the people I met, he has a YouTube channel and he, posts a lot as well. He was a DevRel. Now he's a field CTO at Civo. And he was another person that really helped me. He wasn't the only one. I'm just saying his name, but there were a lot of others.
Sure.
And he guided me. And there was a conference called KubeCon. I don't know if you know, it's the Kubernetes conference, the CNCF conference. And he gave me a ticket to go to KubeCon for free. I was still doing the coding bootcamp. I was still thinking I still wanted to be a software developer. Still, trying cloud, etc. But I said, okay, let me see what this KubeCon is. I booked my own ticket, my travel, airfare, and hotel. But it helped a lot already just getting the ticket. And by the way, I wasn't sure if I should go because I thought it would, distract me from the software development. But my other mentors, the other chats that I was having, they said, Julia, go for it. The homework that you have for the bootcamp, you can do it after or before, but go, this is a great opportunity. I went and I met a lot of people. I saw there is a different world besides software development, DevOps and platform engineering and infrastructure, all of that. And the community is amazing there. I met a lot of people. And I met Michael Cade, which is, he works in my team right now. We met in person. We knew each other from Twitter. And when we met in person, he said, I want you to come work with me in my team. From all I've seen, your work on social media. Also, I spent the day, Vim had some events at KubeCon, and I spent the day at all their events, chatting with the people there and also helping out, like cleaning a little bit, showing that I wanted to help. And they all saw that. And he said, yeah, I want you to come work with me. And he put me in touch with the hiring manager, which was from his team and is my current manager. And I had 2 interviews. They weren't technical. It was more like a chat. He wanted to get to know me. And I got the job.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is truly amazing. But less people think that things are always that easy. It feels like you did a lot of work.
Yes.
And invested just so much background in order to make it easy.
Yeah.
Right? You said you have this strong presence on social media. assuming that you're talking about, the journey, the things that you're learning, the things that you're passionate about, the learning path got you to the point where people were willing to invest in you in like, hey, I'll make sure that, you have a ticket to the door if you can get here. And then again, it sounds like you were very structured about the way that you went about experiencing the show, I guess is how I'll say that.
Yes.
And meeting other people and then, finding an affinity and then investing in that affinity.
Yeah, totally. And for instance, during the second interview, I told the hiring manager that I had never worked with backup or with servers or infrastructure, hardware. And he said, it's okay, we can teach you that, but we can't teach someone, this hunger that to learn and adaptability and, you take initiative and we don't need to hold your hand to teach you something, which are the soft skills that we say. So the technical, yes, is very important, but you can teach someone the technical skills, but the soft skills are still very important as well.
You went through a process of learning in public, and sometimes that can be very, individual and solo. And then when you go to conferences and you're learning, in a group or, there's somebody broadcasting at you, did that fit the model of learning, or was it, oppositional, or did it not matter? Now that I'm asking that question, I'm thinking like, learning at a conference, maybe not that different from, listening to somebody's live stream, right?
Or YouTube video.
Right, yeah. Right. So yeah, I was just wondering a little bit about that contrast in learning style, if there is one even.
No, it's pretty much the same. Although I'm going to say when I go to conferences, I don't learn a lot. I learn after I get home from conferences. Because at conferences, I focus on networking. So when I'm home, I study, I work on personal projects, I watch YouTube videos, I read, I have a lot of books here. And then when I go to a conference, I try to talk about the things that I learned. If I have questions, I'll ask them. But it's basically just meeting people and building those relationships. So right now, I can even say they are my friends. I have a lot of friends in tech because I've seen them 4 times. And when I see them posting something, I comment and they invite me to go to an event that they're organizing. And if I have a question about something that they are expert on, I can reach out to them. So I've had that a lot. And then when I come back from conferences, I watch, announcements and videos from talks, things like that. And then I, again, put in practice with personal projects, etc. But I think it's very important that conferences, I always advise people to focus on networking and not going to sessions unless you want to meet the speaker in person and ask a question or say, hey, I love your work. Focus on networking. So the hallway track.
Hallway track is sometimes the best track. I mean, again, depending on the person, sometimes people have a big problem meeting with people. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not as social as us. Maybe they have a blocker there. But, I've seen people attack the hallway track with gusto.
Yeah. I talk a lot about this, and it's part of the soft skills. So communication. People in tech, we are very nerd, and they are shy and, introverts. But how are you going to learn to talk to other people? By doing. And that's what you have to get out of your comfort zone. It's not just staying behind your computer and building an application. You have to go meet people. Go to the grocery store and smile to the cashier and say, hey, how is your day going? That's already one step to communicating and being able to network at a conference in the future.
There's a great book that I always like to recommend for this. It's the O'Reilly book, Mastering the Hallway Track.
Oh, I didn't know this one.
No, I just made that up. That's not a real book. It's not a real book. But
maybe I will write this book.
Right, yeah. Now I just put that out there in the world. Now I have to
Now you have to
follow
do
up
it.
on that.
Yeah, because we're not going to edit that part out. We're going to hold John to it. I want to know, once you got the ticket to the conference from someone, were you given advice on how to approach the conference, or was that something you came up with on your own?
I came up with on my own. I wish someone had given me advice, but I went on my own and I didn't know what to expect. I was shocked at the beginning. It was so big. I think there were it was in Detroit, so around 10,000 people.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know anyone. I just went by myself, went to the booths and went to the parties after. And one person that I knew introduced me to the other, which introduced me to someone else. I love talking to people. So for me, it's very easy. I can talk all day. That's how I met a lot of people. And by the second day, I was already feeling very comfortable. I knew people, although I didn't even know Kubernetes. I didn't know what Kubernetes was yet. I was trying to understand, but Kubernetes is very hard. But I knew people and they were willing to help me. I was saying, I don't know what this is, but I'm really happy to be here. And they said, no worries. If you need help, message me. Everyone says that. That's what I love about tech.
Yeah, there's a great community of helpful people if you just ask. I want to go back to the boot camp for just a second. In your experience with the boot camp, is that something that people can do on their own time? Is it on a set schedule? Does it depend on where you go if I'm someone who's thinking about doing a boot camp?
It's available online. It's just YouTube videos on his channel. He has a Discord channel as well. It's called 100 Devs. So if you Google it, you're going to see. Have you heard of this bootcamp?
Yes, I have.
It's free, available. The instructor is Leon Noel. He started a podcast recently as well. Everything's online. I have on my juliafmorgado.com, I have like a step-by-step. If you don't know what to do to start, go there and I will hold your hand and tell you what you have to do. Go to this website, join the Discord channel, start on this video and do this homework. And then like I guide a little bit more because some people, they used to come to me and say, hey, I want to start 100 devs or I want to get into tech. What should I do? And that's why I wrote that blog post. Just go to this blog post, do what's written there and then keep going. Don't stop when things get hard.
Before we go any further, I want to say a special shout out to Mr. Al Rashid for suggesting we get Julia on the show to share her story with the community. Thanks very much, Al, for what you do. Keep up the good work out there in the community. I really loved the coffee chats idea for professional networking. Asking someone for 15 minutes to tell you the story of their career. And in that 15-minute discussion, which, by the way, Julia said most of them went more than 15 minutes, you are interviewing the person you're speaking to. You're interviewing them about their experience, the tools they use, the things they do every day, what the job is like, and what they're learning. It reminded me a lot of our conversation with Ramsey Marjaba in episode 307 about professional networking helping you build sales skills. But I love the fact that Julia tracked these interactions. She tracked them from the perspective of having the data on who she talked to, where they worked, what they did, the types of tools they use. It's something you can go back and reference later if you need help in a specific area. And if someone was willing to help you once, perhaps they would be willing to help you again as you continue your journey. When you talk to a lot of people and get a lot of advice, you might wonder what advice you should take, especially with so many possibilities in the tech industry. So I really liked what Julia said in that she had to take the time and do some tinkering with some of the tools that she had heard about in these conversations, in these coffee chats. And she found out she didn't like front-end work. She didn't like back-end work. But she did really like cloud technologies like AWS and Kubernetes. And she decided to learn those things in public, writing blogs, making videos to describe the things that she was learning. Is there something new that you'd like to learn? Whether it's in your area, outside your area, or just something you think would be interesting. Maybe it's a certification you want to go after or that you think would be valuable in our industry. Well, suppose you sign yourself up to take whatever course is needed and that certification test, put a little money into it, and get yourself enough runway to prepare. But as you do it, what if you took the time and wrote some blog posts, even if all you shared in them was the reason you were going after that certification, what you thought was interesting about it, some of the things you learned along the way. It could just be, here are the notes I took on this specific concept, which was really hard for me to understand, but taking the notes helped me do it. Maybe my notes will help you. And then you could also document some thoughts on, how was the test? Was your preparation enough to prepare adequately for the test? Should you have done it differently? Like this idea of going and dipping a toe in different areas or tinkering in different areas, you could talk about whether pursuing that certification got you interested in going deeper in that area, or maybe you decided, hey, it's okay, but it's not super exciting. I learned by taking this test and studying for it and learning this stuff that I don't really like it that much. So I'm going to go and try something else. Just the fact that you have put that in writing, it's publicly accessible, it is proof of work, proof of you spending the time to learn something, proof of how you think, and something that you can show a hiring manager. You were going to learn this stuff anyway for the certification test, but if you could amplify that learning so that it hits other people, builds them up, and somehow helps them, it's going to come back and help you. And maybe you publish 1 post, 2 posts, 3 posts total, who knows? It's something that's small. It's not a commitment to post something every week, but it is dipping a toe into learning in public. It's worth thinking about. I hope you enjoyed this first part of the discussion with Julia. Could you take the time to rate Nerd Journey 5 stars? Tell us the best piece of advice you heard from this episode in your review on Apple Podcasts. So what happens next for Julia? I guess you'll have to wait till next week. We'll see you then.
Farewell, listeners. Tune in next time as the journey continues. I'm John White at BJourneyman, for Nick Cordy at NetworkNerd_, signing off.
Adios.